My name is Elena. I'm 22 years old, and this is the story of the day my own parents called my biggest achievement pointless, right before a $10 billion company changed everything. The stage was set, but no one was cheering. The lights were blinding. I remember walking across that stage in my black cap and gown, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. 4 years of sleepless nights, 4 years of instant noodles, library all-nighters, and crying in bathroom stalls when I thought I couldn't do it anymore. But I did it. I graduated, summa cum laude, computer science and artificial intelligence, top of my class. And as I gripped that diploma folder in my sweaty hands, I did what every graduate does. I looked into the crowd. I searched for two faces, my mom, my dad. They were sitting in the third row. I could see them clearly. My mom was checking her phone. My dad was looking at the exit sign. Neither of them was clapping. Neither of them was even looking at me. I tried to smile anyway. Maybe they didn't see me yet. Maybe they were just distracted. That's what I told myself. That's what I always told myself. But deep down, I knew the truth. I had known it for years. I just didn't want to accept it. The ceremony ended 20 minutes later. Students were screaming, throwing their caps in the air, hugging their families. Champagne bottles popping, flowers everywhere, parents crying happy tears. I stood alone near the side of the auditorium, holding my diploma, waiting. My parents finally walked over. No smiles, no congratulations, no hugs. My mom looked at my diploma like it was a parking ticket. "So," she said, her voice flat, "you're done now?" I nodded. "Yeah, Mom, I graduated. Summa cum laude." She didn't react. My dad crossed his arms. "And what exactly are you going to do with that?" I felt my stomach drop, but I kept my voice steady. "I already have offers, Dad. Several companies reached out. I'm still deciding." He cut me off. "What offers? For sitting in front of a screen all day? That's not a real job, Alina." I blinked. "Dad, I'm an AI engineer. The average starting salary is over $100,000. Some of the offers are double that." My mom finally looked at me, but not with pride, with pity. "Elena, you've been living in a fantasy world. Your father and I have been patient. We let you do your little computer thing, but it's time to grow up. Get a real job. Maybe at the bank like your cousin Marco. He's already a manager." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. A real job, Mom? I built a machine learning model that was used by a research lab at MIT. I was published as an undergrad. My dad laughed. Not a nice laugh, a mocking one. Published. Wow. How much did that pay? $0? I felt tears burning behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not there, not in front of them. "I have a final round interview next week," I said quietly, "with a company you've definitely heard of. They're flying me out, first class." My mom raised an eyebrow. "And what company is that?" I took a breath. "Nexus Dynamics." Silence. Then my dad snorted. "The tech company? The one that makes video games or something?" "They're a $10 billion AI research firm, Dad. They work with governments, with space agencies. They're not making video games." My mom shook her head. "Elena, listen to yourself. You think a company like that would hire a girl like you? Be realistic. You're setting yourself up for disappointment, just like you always do." A girl like me. Those 4 words cut deeper than anything else, because I knew exactly what she meant. She meant that I wasn't good enough, that I never had been, that all my hard work, all my achievements meant nothing because I wasn't the child they wanted. My older brother, Derek, was the golden child. He dropped out of college twice, he'd been fired from 3 jobs, but he was charming. He played golf with my dad. He took my mom out for brunch. He knew how to say the right things. And me? I was the quiet one, the nerd, the one who stayed in her room and coded, the one who never caused trouble but also never got any attention. I thought graduating at the top of my class would finally make them see me. I thought the honors, the awards, the research papers would prove that I was worth something. But standing there in that auditorium, holding my diploma while my parents looked at me like I was a child playing dress up, I realized the truth. They would never see me, no matter what I did. My dad checked his watch. "We have dinner reservations at 7. We should go." My mom nodded. "You coming, Elena? Or do you have to go stare at a screen some more?" I shook my head. "No, you go ahead." They didn't argue. They didn't say goodbye. They just turned and walked away. My mom's heels clicking on the floor, my dad already on his phone, leaving me alone in the middle of a celebration that wasn't mine. I stood there for a long time, watching other families hug, watching fathers lift their daughters in the air, watching mothers cry happy tears. And I made a quiet promise to myself. I wasn't going to beg for their approval anymore. I wasn't going to chase their love. If they didn't want to see my success, fine. I would succeed anyway. But I had no idea that the next 48 hours would change everything. That the phone call I was about to receive would not only prove my parents wrong, but would expose a betrayal so deep, so painful that it would tear our family apart forever. And I definitely didn't know that the person who had been secretly sabotaging me for years was standing right next to me the whole time. I didn't go home that night. Home, that word felt wrong now. The house where I grew up, the bedroom with the posters and the laptop and the stacks of coding books, it didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a place where I was tolerated, not loved. So I walked. Through the campus I had just graduated from, past the library where I'd spent 3,000 hours, past the coffee shop where I'd written my first line of code at 16, past the bench where I used to sit and dream about the future. I ended up at a small diner near the edge of town, the kind with cracked vinyl booths and coffee that tasted like it had been brewing since 1987. I slid into a booth by the window and ordered a slice of apple pie I didn't want, and a cup of coffee I definitely didn't need at 10 o'clock at night. My phone buzzed. Then again. Then again. Messages from friends, from classmates, from my advisor, Dr. Patricia Vance, who had believed in me when no one else did. "Congratulations, Elena. So proud of you. We're celebrating Friday. Don't bail. You're a legend, summa cum laude. Call me when you're free." I replied to a few short answers, smiley faces, the digital equivalent of "I'm fine" when you're anything but. Then I opened my email. 57 new messages. Most of them were automated. LinkedIn notifications, job alerts, a newsletter from a coding forum I'd joined years ago. But one email made my heart stop. Subject: Final interview confirmation. From Sarah Chen, Senior Recruiting Manager. Dear Elena, following your successful technical assessments and project presentation, we are pleased to invite you to our headquarters for the final stage of the interview process. This will include meetings with our executive team, a tour of our research facilities, and a discussion of your potential role within our advanced AI division. Please find attached your itinerary. A car will pick you up from your residence at 6 a.m. on Monday. Your return flight is scheduled for 8 p.m. the same day. All expenses are covered. We are incredibly impressed with your work, Elena. Your thesis on neural network optimization was shared internally by one of our senior researchers. We believe you have the potential to make significant contributions to our team. Looking forward to meeting you. Best, Sarah. I read the email 3 times. Then a 4th time. Then I set my phone down on the sticky diner table and stared out the window at the empty street. This was it. This was the moment I had been working toward for 4 years. Nexus Dynamics wasn't just any tech company. They were the tech company. They had more AI patents than any other private firm in the country. Their research was shaping the future of medicine, transportation, even space exploration. Getting a job there wasn't just a career move, it was a statement. and I had made it to the final round. I should have been jumping up and down. I should have been calling everyone I knew. I should have been crying happy tears into my terrible diner coffee. But instead, I felt hollow, because the two people whose opinion had mattered most to me for my entire life had just told me that none of this mattered, that I was wasting my time, that I would never be enough. I paid for my pie and coffee and walked back to my apartment, the one I rented with 2 roommates near campus. Small, messy, perfect. When I walked in, my roommate Jenna was sprawled on the couch watching reality TV. She looked up when I came in. "Elena, how was graduation? Where are your parents? I thought we were all going out." I dropped my bag by the door. They left. Jenna sat up. Left? Like left, before the celebration? They had dinner reservations. Jenna's face fell. She knew. She had seen it all. The birthdays my parents forgot. The holidays I spent alone in my room while they took Derek to fancy restaurants. The times I came home crying because my mom said my coding was cute but not a real skill. "Elena," she started. I held up my hand. "I don't want to talk about it, but I do have news." I told her about the email, about Nexus Dynamics, about the final interview on Monday. Jenna screamed. Actually screamed, so loud that our other roommate, Marcus, came running out of his room in his boxers holding a frying pan like a weapon. "What's happening? Is there a fire?" Jenna grabbed his shoulders. "Elena got the final interview at Nexus Dynamics." Marcus dropped the frying pan. It clanged on the floor. Then he started dancing. Actually dancing. A terrible, offbeat, ridiculous dance that made me laugh for the first time all day. "I knew it," he shouted. "I told you." I said, "Marcus, that girl is going to change the world." And you know what I said back? I said, "I know, Marcus, I know." Jenna was already on her phone. "I'm ordering champagne, the fancy kind, the one that costs more than $12. "We have champagne money?" I asked. "We have celebration money," she said. "Different budget." For the next 2 hours, we sat on that beat-up couch with a bottle of cheap but fancy to us champagne and made plans. What I would wear, what I would say, what I would do if I got the job. "You're going to move to the city," Jenna said, her eyes dreamy. "You're going to have a corner office. You're going to date a billionaire tech guy with a stupid haircut." "I don't want a billionaire with a stupid haircut," I laughed. "I want to code." "You can do both," Marcus said wisely. "That's called balance." But late that night, after Jenna had passed out on the couch and Marcus had gone back to his room, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. My phone was on my chest. The email from Nexus Dynamics was still open. I thought about calling my mom, just to tell her, just to see if maybe, just maybe, this would be the thing that made her proud. But I didn't, because I already knew what she would say. "Don't get your hopes up, Elena. You know how these things go." So I put my phone down, I closed my eyes, and I dreamed about Monday. What I didn't know was that someone else in my family had already heard about my interview, someone who had been watching my every move, someone who had spent years making sure I never got too far ahead, and that someone was about to do something unforgivable. The morning of the interview and the first sign of trouble. Monday came faster than I expected. I barely slept the night before. My mind was racing with algorithms and potential questions and worst-case scenarios. What if they asked me something I didn't know? What if I froze? What if I said something stupid? But when my alarm went off at 4:30 a.m., I was surprisingly calm. This was what I was built for. This was my moment. I showered. I put on the outfit Jenna and I had picked out together. A navy blue blazer, a white blouse, tailored black pants, low heels that I could walk in without falling, professional, confident me. I checked my bag 3 times. Laptop? Yes. Charger? Yes. Notebook? Yes. Copies of my resume? Yes. Portfolio of past projects? Yes. At 4:55 a.m., I got a text from an unknown number. "Good morning, Elena. This is your driver, Marcus. Different Marcus, not your roommate. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Black SUV. Looking forward to meeting you. I smiled. This was really happening. I wrote a quick note for Jenna. Gone to change the world. Back tonight. Wish me luck. Then I grabbed my bag and walked outside. The sun wasn't up yet, the street was quiet, and there, idling by the curb, was a black SUV. Shiny, clean. The kind of car that cost more than my entire degree. The driver got out. He was older, maybe 50, with a kind face and a warm smile. Elena, I'm Marcus. Ready to go? More than ready. The drive to the airport was smooth. Marcus didn't talk too much, which I appreciated. He just played soft jazz and let me stare out the window at the waking city. At the airport, everything felt like a dream. The first-class ticket meant I skipped the long lines. I went through security in 10 minutes. I sat in a lounge with free pastries and coffee that didn't taste like diner sludge. I boarded the plane and settled into a seat that was wider than my bed at home. And then I was in the air, flying toward my future. The flight was 2 hours. I spent most of it reviewing my notes, my thesis, my research, the technical papers I had published. I wanted to be ready for anything. But when the plane landed and I turned my phone back on, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A text message from my brother, Derek. Heard you have a big interview today. Don't embarrass the family. I stared at the message for a long time. Don't embarrass the family. Not good luck, not I'm proud of you, not even a simple you've got this. Just a threat, wrapped in fake concern. I didn't respond. I couldn't. My hands were shaking too much. How did Derek even know about the interview? I hadn't told him. I hadn't told my parents. The only people who knew were Jenna, Marcus, and Dr. Vance. Unless my parents had told him, which meant they did know about the interview, which meant they had chosen to say nothing to me. No text, no call, no good luck, honey. But Derek got a call. Of course he did. I took a deep breath and put my phone away. I couldn't think about them right now. I couldn't let them get inside my head. Not today. A car was waiting for me outside the airport. Another black SUV, another driver with a kind smile. This one was named Patricia. She handed me a bottle of water and a folder with my itinerary. Your first meeting is at 10:30 a.m. We'll arrive at the headquarters at 10:15. You'll have a few minutes to freshen up. Thank you, I said. My voice sounded strange, distant. The drive to Nexus Dynamics took 20 minutes. The building appeared on the horizon like a glass spaceship. It was massive, sleek, impossible, 20 stories of blue glass and steel reflecting the morning sky. When we pulled into the underground parking garage, I felt my heart start to pound. This was it. This was really it. I walked through the lobby in a daze. Everything was white and chrome and quiet. People in business clothes moved with purpose. No one was checking their phone. No one was laughing. Everyone looked like they were on a mission. A receptionist with perfect hair and a perfect smile directed me to the 15th floor. The elevator was so fast, my ears popped. When the doors opened, I was standing in front of a wall of windows that overlooked the entire city. And waiting for me was Sarah Chen, the recruiting manager who had sent the email. She was shorter than I expected, maybe 5 feet, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense haircut. But when she smiled, her whole face changed. Warm, genuine. Elena, she said, extending her hand, it's so good to finally meet you in person. Thank you for having me, I said. I've been looking forward to this for weeks. We've been looking forward to meeting you for longer than that, she said. Your thesis was shared in our internal research meeting. 3 of our senior engineers asked to meet you personally. That almost never happens. I felt a surge of pride. That's incredible to hear. Sarah nodded toward a glass conference room. Ready to get started? Absolutely. The first interview was with a senior engineer named Dr. Eris Thorne. He was tall and quiet, with gray hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He didn't ask me typical interview questions. He didn't ask about my strengths or weaknesses or where I saw myself in 5 years. Instead, he pushed a whiteboard toward me and said, "Solve this." The problem he wrote on the board was complex. It was the kind of problem that would take most engineers hours to even understand. But I had spent 4 years training for this exact moment. I picked up a marker. I started writing. For the next 45 minutes, I talked and wrote and drew diagrams and explained my reasoning. Dr. Thorne didn't say much. He just watched. Occasionally, he would not. Occasionally, he would ask a question that forced me to think deeper. When I finally set the marker down, my hand was cramping and my throat was dry. But I had done it. I had solved the problem. Dr. Thorne looked at the whiteboard for a long time. Then he looked at me. "You're the first candidate this year who solved that in under an hour," he said. "Most don't solve it at all." I didn't know what to say, so I just said, "Thank you." He smiled, a real smile. "Don't thank me. Thank yourself. You did the work." The next 2 interviews were similar. Challenging questions, complex problems, but I was ready. I was more than ready. I was born for this. By the time the interviews were over, it was 3 p.m. I had one more meeting, a final conversation with the division director, a woman named Victoria Kane. Victoria was different from the others. She didn't ask me technical questions. She didn't test my problem-solving skills. Instead, she asked me about my story. "Tell me why you do this, Elena," she said. Not the professional answer, the real one. I hesitated. I had never told anyone the real answer. Not even Jenna, not even Marcus, but something about Victoria's calm, steady presence made me feel safe. "I do this because no one believed I could," I said. "My parents thought coding was a waste of time. My brother thought I was a joke. My teachers in high school told me to focus on something more practical. But I knew I was good at this. I knew I could make a difference. So I kept going. Even when it was hard. Even when I wanted to quit, I kept going because I wanted to prove that I was worth something." Victoria was quiet for a moment. Then she leaned forward. "Elena, I'm going to tell you something I don't tell many candidates," she said. "We already decided we want you. Today was about confirming our decision. And you did. You exceeded every expectation we had." My heart stopped. "Wait, really?" She nodded. "Really? We're going to send you an official offer by the end of the week, but I want to tell you now so you can stop worrying. You're in. Welcome to Nexus Dynamics." I didn't cry. Somehow I didn't cry, but I came very, very close. "Thank you," I whispered. "Thank you so much." "Don't thank me," Victoria said, echoing Dr. Thorne. "You earned this." I floated out of that building. I don't remember walking to the car. I don't remember the drive to the airport. I don't remember checking in for my flight. All I remember is the feeling of being seen, the feeling of being valued, the feeling of finally being enough. I couldn't wait to get home. I couldn't wait to tell Jenna and Marcus. I couldn't wait to start my new life. But when I landed and turned my phone back on, I had 23 missed calls, all from Jenna, and a text message that made my blood run cold. "Elena, call me immediately. It's your parents. They did something. I don't know how to tell you this, just call me." My hands were shaking as I pressed the call button. Jenna picked up on the first ring. She was crying. "Elena, your brother, Derek, he called your parents while you were gone. He told them you were lying about the interview, that you made the whole thing up to get attention." "What?" I said. "Why would he do that?" "Because he's jealous," Jenna said. "But that's not the worst part. Your parents believed him. They came to the apartment this morning, they went through your room, they took your laptop, your backup drives, all your research. They said they were protecting you from yourself." I felt the world tilt beneath my feet. "They took my research?" I whispered. "All of it, Elena. They said they were going to delete everything to help you move on from your fantasy." I hung up the phone. I didn't say goodbye. I just hung up. And in that moment, sitting in the back of a taxi on the way home from the best day of my life, I felt something inside me snap. They had taken everything, my work, my research, years of my life. But they had made one mistake. They had no idea what I was capable of. And they had no idea that the company waiting for me wasn't just any company. It was a $10 billion company with lawyers, with resources, and with a very, very personal interest in protecting their newest hire. The revenge wasn't going to be loud. It wasn't going to be violent. It was going to be quiet, legal, and absolutely devastating. And it was going to start with a single call. The taxi ride to my apartment felt like it lasted 100 years. I sat in the back seat with my phone in my hands, staring at Jenna's message over and over again. They took your laptop, your backup drives, all your research. I kept waiting for someone to tell me it was a joke, a cruel, sick joke. But the knot in my stomach told me the truth. This was real. My parents had actually broken into my room. They had stolen my work, and they planned to delete everything. Why? Why would they do that? The answer came to me as the taxi pulled up to my building. Because they didn't believe I was capable of success. Because in their minds, I was still the awkward, quiet girl who spent too much time on her computer. Because Derek had whispered poison in their ears, and they had swallowed every drop. I paid the driver. I walked up the 3 flights of stairs to my apartment. My legs felt like they were made of concrete. The door was unlocked. I pushed it open. Jenna was sitting on the couch, her face red and blotchy from crying. Marcus was pacing back and forth, his phone pressed to his ear. When he saw me, he ended the call and rushed over. "Elena, I'm so sorry. We tried to stop them. We tried. But your mom had a key. She said you gave it to her for emergencies. She said this was an emergency." I looked around the apartment. My bedroom door was open. I could see the mess from where I stood. Drawers pulled out, clothes on the floor. My desk, usually covered in notes and Post-its and half-empty coffee cups, was completely bare. I walked into my room like a ghost. Everything was gone. My laptop, my external hard drives, the notebooks where I handwritten code when I couldn't sleep, the flash drives I kept in my desk drawer, all of it vanished. The only thing they left was my diploma. It was sitting on my bare desk, right in the middle, like a taunt, like they were saying, "Here's your worthless piece of paper. The rest was garbage anyway." I picked up the diploma. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold it. "Elena," Jenna said from the doorway, "your mom left a note on the kitchen counter. I didn't want to read it, but I did. I'm sorry." I walked to the kitchen. The note was written on a piece of notebook paper in my mother's neat, careful handwriting. "Elena, your father and I love you. That's why we're doing this. This computer obsession has gone too far. You've been lying to us about job offers and interviews. Derek told us everything. We're not angry, we're just disappointed. We're taking your equipment so you can finally focus on something real. Get a job at the bank, settle down, be normal. This is for your own good. Mom." I read the note 3 times. Each time, a different emotion rose up inside me. First, disbelief, then anger, then a cold, quiet fury that I had never felt before. They thought I was lying. They believed Derek over me, without asking, without checking, without a single phone call to verify anything. And they had the audacity to say they were doing this because they loved me. I crumbled the note in my fist. "Jenna," I said, my voice eerily calm, "can I borrow your laptop?" "Of course," she said, "but Elena, what are you going to do?" "I'm going to make a phone call." I sat down at the kitchen table, I opened Jenna's laptop, and I pulled up the email from Sarah Chen at Nexus Dynamics. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Part of me was terrified. Part of me wanted to just give up, let my parents win, go get that job at the bank like they wanted, disappear into a normal life. But another part of me, a part I didn't even know existed, was done being afraid. I wrote an email, short, professional, devastating. "Dear Sarah, I need your help. My parents have stolen my research equipment and backup drives. They plan to delete years of work. I have no way to recover the data without legal assistance. Is there anything Nexus Dynamics can do to help? I understand if this changes your decision about hiring me, but I had to ask. Thank you for your time. Elena. I read the email 10 times before I sent it. Then I closed the laptop and waited. Jenna brought me a glass of water. Marcus sat across from me, not saying anything. They didn't know what to say. Neither did I. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. It was Sarah Chen. Elena, call me immediately. I dialed her number with shaking hands. She picked up on the first ring. Elena, I just read your email. Are you safe? Yes, I said. I'm safe, but my work isn't. Tell me everything. Don't leave anything out. So I did. I told her about my parents, about Derek, about the graduation, about the note, about the years of being dismissed and belittled, about how they had broken into my apartment and stolen everything I had worked for. When I finished, there was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then Sarah spoke. Her voice was different now, harder, sharper. Elena, listen to me very carefully. Do not contact your parents. Do not go to their house. Do not try to get your equipment back on your own. Do you understand? Yes, I said. But why? Because what they did is a crime. Breaking and entering, theft, destruction of intellectual property. These are serious offenses, and Nexus Dynamics has a legal team that handles exactly this kind of situation. I felt a flicker of hope. You're not going to fire me? Sarah almost laughed. Fire you? Elena, we just offered you a position. That offer stands. In fact, it stands even more now, because anyone who can produce the work you've produced under the circumstances you've described is exactly the kind of person we want on our team. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So, what do I do? You let us handle it, Sarah said. I'm going to connect you with our head of legal, a woman named Diana Reese. She's formidable. She'll know exactly what to do. In the meantime, I want you to write down everything, every detail, every date, every text message, every email. We're going to build a case.
A case? I said. Against my own parents? Sarah's voice softened. I know this is hard, Elena. I know these are your parents, but you have to ask yourself something. If they were willing to do this to you now, what would they be willing to do in the future? You're about to start a career that could change the world. You can't have people in your life who sabotage you, even if they're family. I knew she was right, but that didn't make it any easier. Okay, I said, connect me with Diana. The next hour was a blur. Diana Reese called me within 15 minutes. Her voice was calm and measured, like a surgeon preparing for an operation. Elena, I've already reviewed the preliminary information Sarah sent me, she said. Here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to send a legal letter to your parents' residence. It will demand the immediate return of all stolen property. It will also put them on notice that any destruction of that property will result in criminal charges and a civil lawsuit for damages. What if they've already deleted everything? I asked, my voice cracking. Then we pursue criminal charges, Diana said, and we sue them for the value of your work, which, given the nature of your research and the offers you've received, is substantial. We're talking potentially millions of dollars. Millions, against my parents, who lived in a modest house and drove used cars and thought a good investment was a savings account with 2% interest. But there's something else, Diana continued. You mentioned your brother, Derek. He told your parents you were lying about the job offers. That's defamation. If we can prove he knew it was false, we can include him in the legal action as well. My brother, the golden child, the one who had never worked for anything in his life, the one who had spent years making me feel small so he could feel big. For the first time, I felt something other than fear or anger. I felt resolve. Do it, I said, all of it. Good, Diana said. I'll have the letter delivered tomorrow morning. In the meantime, I want you to rest. You've had a long day. We'll talk more in the morning. I hung up the phone.
Jenna and Marcus were staring at me. "What happened?" Jenna asked. I looked at them. These two people who had believed in me when my own family hadn't. These two people who had celebrated my success and mourned my loss. Nexus Dynamics is sending a legal letter to my parents tomorrow, demanding everything back, and if they've deleted anything, they're going to sue them. Marcus let out a low whistle. That's intense. They brought it on themselves. They stole from you, Alina. They broke into your home. They don't get to do that and walk away. I nodded, but even as I agreed with her, a part of me was still hoping that my parents would see the letter and realize their mistake, hoping that they would apologize, hoping that they would finally see me. That hope lasted exactly 12 hours, because the next morning, before the legal letter even arrived, my phone rang. It was my mother, and she was furious. I almost didn't answer. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, my mother's name flashing on the screen. I had been awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had happened. The interview, the offer, the theft, the legal letter that was probably being printed at that very moment. Part of me wanted to let it go to voicemail. Part of me wanted to pretend I hadn't seen it. But another part of me, the part that had been silenced for too long, wanted to hear what she had to say. I answered. "Hello?" "Alina, how dare you?" My mother's voice was shaking with rage. Not guilt, not shame, rage. "How dare you involve lawyers in this? We are your parents. We are trying to help you, and this is how you repay us?" I sat up in bed. My heart was pounding, but my voice was steady. "Help me? Mom, you broke into my apartment. You stole my laptop, my research, years of my life, and you left a note saying you were doing it because you love me? That's not love. That's control." "Don't you dare lecture me about love," she spat. "Your father and I have given you everything. A roof over your head, food on the table, a college education. And what have you given us? Lies, deception, embarrassment." "What lies?" I asked. "Tell me one lie I've told you." "Derek told us everything," she said. "About how you faked those job offers, about how you never actually graduated at the top of your class, about how you've been pretending to be successful when really you've been failing all along." I closed my eyes. Derek, of course. My brother had been feeding them poison for years, and they had drunk it without question. "Mom, did you even check?" I asked. "Did you call the university? Did you look up my name online? Did you do anything to verify what Derek told you?" There was a pause, a long, heavy pause. "We didn't need to check," she said finally. "Derek would never lie to us." And there it was, the truth I had always known but never wanted to accept. In my parents' eyes, Derek could do no wrong, and I could do no right. "Mom, I have a job offer from Nexus Dynamics, a $10 billion company. I interviewed yesterday. They offered me the position. It's real. It's all real." "Stop lying. Just stop. You're embarrassing yourself, and you're embarrassing us. We're not going to let you destroy this family with your fantasies." "I'm not destroying anything. You are. You and Dad and Derek. You've been tearing me down my entire life, and now when I finally have a chance to build something real, you're trying to take it away. We're trying to save you from yourself." I laughed, a bitter, hollow laugh. "Save me? Mom, you don't even know me. You never have. You know the version of me that Derek created. The failure, the liar, the disappointment. But you don't know the real me, the one who stayed up until 3 a.m. every night for 4 years, the one who published research papers, the one who got offers from the best companies in the world. You don't know her because you never bothered to look." My mother was silent. For a moment, I thought maybe I had gotten through to her. Maybe she was finally hearing me. But then she spoke, and her words destroyed any hope I had left. "You're right," she said. "I don't know you, because the daughter I raised would never have turned against her family like this. You're not my daughter anymore, Elena. Not after this." The line went dead. I sat there for a long time, holding the phone against my ear, listening to nothing. She had hung up. My mother had hung up on me, and she had said I wasn't her daughter anymore. I should have cried. I wanted to cry, but the tears wouldn't come. Instead, I felt something harden inside me, something cold and determined. I called Diana Reese. "Diana, my mother just called me. She knows about the legal letter. She's not going to return anything. She thinks I'm lying about everything." Diana's voice was calm. "Did she admit to taking your property?" "Yes, she said they were trying to save me from myself." "Good, that's an admission. I need you to send me any recordings or written records of that conversation. Do you have them?" "I don't record my phone calls," I said. "Start," Diana said. "From now on, every interaction with your family gets recorded. Check your state's consent laws, but if it's legal, record everything. We need evidence." "Okay," I said. "What's next?" "The legal letter is being delivered today. We're giving them 48 hours to return everything. If they don't, we file a police report and a civil lawsuit. And, Elena, I should warn you, once we start this process, there's no going back. Your family will likely never forgive you." I thought about my mother's words. "You're not my daughter anymore." "They've already made their choice. Now I'm making mine," I said. "Good," Diana said. "I'll keep you updated." I hung up. Jenna was standing in my doorway, holding a cup of coffee. She had heard everything. "Are you okay?" she asked. "No," I said, "but I will be." The next 48 hours were the longest of my life. I stayed at Jenna and Marcus's apartment. I didn't go to work because I didn't have a job yet. I didn't go to class because I had already graduated. I just existed, waiting, watching my phone, jumping every time it buzzed. On the second day, Diana called with news. "Elena, the 48 hours are up. Your parents have not returned your property. In fact, they sent a response through a lawyer." "They have a lawyer?" I asked, surprised. "They hired one yesterday, a local guy, small firm. He sent us a letter claiming that your parents were acting in your best interest and that your research was potentially harmful to your mental health." I almost laughed. "They're claiming I'm mentally ill?" "Essentially, yes. They're trying to frame their theft as a medical intervention. It won't hold up in court, but it tells us something important." "What?" "They're scared. They wouldn't have hired a lawyer if they weren't scared. And if they're scared, they probably haven't deleted your data yet. They're holding onto it as leverage." Hope flickered inside me. "So there's a chance I can get it back?" "A good chance," Diana said, "but we have to move fast. I'm filing the police report today, and I'm filing the civil lawsuit tomorrow. We're going to put so much pressure on them that they have no choice but to return everything." "Do it," I said. "One more thing," Diana added. "Your brother, Derek, we did some digging. It turns out he's been telling your parents lies about you for years. But we also found something else, something you should know." "What?" "Derek applied for a job at Nexus Dynamics 6 months ago. He didn't even make it past the initial screening. His qualifications were lacking. But here's the interesting part. After he was rejected, he started posting negative things about the company online, anonymous reviews, false claims. We traced some of them back to his IP address. My blood ran cold. He was trying to sabotage Nexus Dynamics? He was trying to hurt the company that rejected him, but in doing so, he may have also been trying to hurt you, because if Nexus Dynamics had a bad reputation, your offer might have been withdrawn, or you might have decided not to accept. My brother had been playing a long game, a game I didn't even know existed. He wasn't just jealous of my success, he was actively trying to destroy it. What can we do about that? I asked.
We're including it in the lawsuit, Diana said. Defamation, tortious interference, possibly cyber harassment. Derek is going to have a very bad year. I should have felt bad. He was my brother, after all. Family. Blood. But family doesn't do what he did. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't sabotage. Family doesn't steal. Derek had made his choice, just like my parents had. And now they were all going to face the consequences. The lawsuit, when the truth comes out. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Diana filed the police report on a Tuesday. By Friday, a detective had been assigned to the case. By the following Monday, my parents had been officially notified that they were under investigation for theft and breaking and entering. They didn't take it well. My father called me, not to apologize, to scream. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" he shouted. "We could go to jail because of you. Jail! Over some stupid computer files." "They're not stupid computer files, Dad," I said calmly. "They're years of research. Research that's worth millions of dollars. Research that you stole." "We didn't steal anything. We were trying to help you." "You broke into my apartment. You took my property. That's the legal definition of theft. You can call it helping all you want. It doesn't change the facts." My father was silent for a moment. Then his voice dropped, became cold, dangerous. "You're going to destroy this family, Elena. Your mother is sick with worry. She can't eat, she can't sleep, and it's all your fault." "No, Dad," I said. "It's your fault, you and Mom and Derek. You chose to believe lies instead of the truth. You chose to steal instead of ask. You chose to destroy instead of support. I didn't do any of that. You did." "You're dead to us," he said. "You hear me? Dead." He hung up. I stared at my phone. Dead to them. My own father had just said I was dead to him. And you know what? I felt nothing. No sadness, no anger, no guilt. Just a strange, peaceful emptiness. Like a weight I had been carrying my whole life had finally been lifted. Because I finally understood something. Their love had always been conditional. Conditioned on me being someone I wasn't. Conditioned on me fitting into their tiny, narrow definition of success. And I was done trying to fit. The civil lawsuit was filed a week later. Nexus Dynamics covered all the legal fees. Diana didn't just sue for the return of my property, she sued for damages, emotional distress, lost opportunities, the value of my research. The total amount? $3 million. My parents almost had a heart attack. Their lawyer called Diana, begging her to settle, offering to return everything in exchange for dropping the lawsuit. But Diana had a different idea. "Elena, we have leverage now," she said. "Your parents are terrified. They can't afford a $3 million judgment. They'll lose their house, their retirement, everything. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to offer them a deal." "What kind of deal?" "They return everything. Every single file, every notebook, every hard drive. They provide a sworn statement that nothing was deleted or damaged. And they pay for a forensic audit to prove it. In exchange, we drop the civil suit, but we don't drop the criminal charges. Those are out of our hands." "So they still might go to jail?" "That's up to the district attorney, but the fact that they're cooperating will help them. They probably won't do jail time, but they will have a criminal record, and they will have to live with the knowledge that their daughter was willing to take them to court." I thought about it. Part of me wanted to push for everything. Jail time, maximum damages. I wanted them to suffer the way I had suffered. But another part of me, the part that still remembered the good times, the rare moments when my parents had been kind, wanted to give them a way out. "Okay," I said, "make the offer." Diana did. My parents accepted within 24 hours. The return of my property happened on a gray, rainy Thursday. A sheriff's deputy accompanied my father to my apartment. He carried 2 boxes. Inside were my laptop, my hard drives, my notebooks, my flash drives, everything. My father wouldn't look at me. He just set the boxes on the floor and walked away. He didn't say sorry. He didn't say anything. As he was leaving, I spoke. "Dad." He stopped. Didn't turn around. "I never lied to you. Not once. Everything I told you was true. The job offers, the graduation, the research. All of it. You chose not to believe me. And that's on you, not me." He stood there for a long moment. Then he walked out the door without looking back. I never saw him again. Well, that's not entirely true. I saw him one more time, at the criminal hearing. He and my mother sat on one side of the courtroom. I sat on the other. They both looked older, smaller, defeated. The judge listened to the evidence, the police report, the stolen property, the admission my mother had made on the phone. In the end, my parents were convicted of misdemeanor theft and breaking and entering. They were sentenced to probation, community service, and a mandatory class on property rights. No jail time, but a criminal record for the rest of their lives. My mother cried when the verdict was read. My father stared straight ahead, his face like stone. Derek was charged separately: defamation, tortious interference, cyber harassment. His case went to trial. The evidence was overwhelming. The anonymous posts, the lies he told my parents, the years of sabotage. He was found guilty on all counts, sentenced to 6 months in jail, 2 years probation, and a permanent restraining order prohibiting him from contacting me or coming within 500 feet of me.
My brother went to jail. My parents became criminals, and I became the villain of the family. At least, that's how they tell the story. But here's the thing about family. It's supposed to be a safe place, a place where you're loved unconditionally, a place where you can fail and still be accepted. My family was never that. Not for me. And finally, after 22 years, I stopped trying to make them into something they weren't. The rise. Building something new. With my research recovered and the legal nightmare behind me, I finally started my new life. I moved to the city where Nexus Dynamics was headquartered, a small but modern apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the skyline. Jenna and Marcus came with me. They found jobs nearby. We stayed roommates, because after everything, they were my real family now. The family I chose. The family who chose me. My first day at Nexus Dynamics was everything I had dreamed of and more. I had my own office. Not a cubicle, an actual office with a door and a window and a whiteboard that covered an entire wall. My team was small but brilliant. Dr. Eris Thorne became my mentor. Sarah Chen became my friend. Victoria Kane became someone I looked up to, someone I wanted to become. The work was challenging, exhilarating, exhausting. Some days I worked 16 hours. Some days I wanted to quit. But I didn't, because every time I wanted to give up, I remembered why I was there. I was there because I had fought for it. I had clawed my way out of a family that wanted to keep me small. I had survived betrayal and theft and heartbreak, and I had come out the other side stronger. Within 6 months, I led my first major project. Within a year, I was promoted. Within 2 years, I filed 3 patents. My name was on research papers that were being cited by universities around the world. The girl whose parents called her graduation pointless was now a rising star in one of the most important tech companies on the planet. But success didn't heal everything. There were still nights when I woke up in a cold sweat, dreaming about the courtroom, about my mother's tears, about my father's stony silence, about Derek's face as they led him away in handcuffs. I went to therapy. I talked about my childhood, about the years of feeling invisible, about the betrayal that had finally broken me free. And slowly, painfully, I started to heal. 3 years after the lawsuit, I received a letter. It was from my mother. I almost threw it away, but something made me open it. "Elena, I know you probably hate me, and you have every right to. What your father and I did was unforgivable. We were wrong. About everything. We believed Derek because it was easier than believing the truth that you were succeeding without us, the truth that you didn't need us. We were scared, and we handled it in the worst possible way.
I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I'm just asking you to know that I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. Mom. I read the letter 3 times. Then I set it down. Did I forgive her? Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I understood her, in a way I never had before. She wasn't a monster. She was just a flawed, frightened person who had made terrible choices. Just like my father. Just like Derek.
And I was done letting their choices define me. I didn't write back. I didn't call. I just folded the letter and put it in a drawer. A reminder of where I came from and how far I had come. The revenge. Quiet, legal, and complete. People ask me if I regret it, if I regret suing my own parents, if I regret sending my brother to jail. And I tell them the truth. No, I don't regret it. Because it wasn't revenge, not really. It was justice. It was standing up for myself after 22 years of being knocked down. It was saying, you don't get to treat me like this anymore. The revenge wasn't in the lawsuit. The revenge wasn't in the criminal charges. The revenge was in my success, in the life I built without them, in the person I became despite them. Every time I walked into that office, every time I filed a patent, every time I gave a presentation to the executive team, that was the revenge. Living well, thriving, being happy. My parents lost everything. Their reputation, their savings, their golden child who was now a convicted felon, their daughter who they had pushed so far away that she would never come back. But they did it to themselves. Every choice they made led to that courtroom. Every lie they believed led to that conviction. And me, I walked away free. Not free of pain, not free of scars, but free of them. The last time I heard anything about my family was 5 years after the trial. Derek was out of jail. He was living in a small town several states away, working a minimum wage job. My parents had divorced. My father blamed my mother for coddling Derek. My mother blamed my father for never supporting me. They destroyed each other, just like they had tried to destroy me. But I survived. I thrived. And that, more than any lawsuit or criminal charge, was the greatest revenge of all. If there's one thing I want you to take away from my story, it's this. Family is not about blood. Family is about who shows up for you, who believes in you, who loves you even when you're difficult, even when you're failing, even when you're not what they expected. My real family turned out to be Jenna and Marcus, Dr. Thorne and Sarah and Victoria, the colleagues who stayed late to help me debug code, the friends who brought me soup when I was sick, the people who celebrated my wins and held me through my losses. Blood doesn't make you family. Love does. Loyalty does. Respect does. And if the people who share your DNA don't give you those things, you have every right to walk away, to build your own family, to create your own happiness. You don't owe them anything, not your time, not your energy, not your forgiveness, especially if they stole from you, especially if they lied about you, especially if they tried to destroy your future because they were too small to handle your success. I'm not saying it's easy. Walking away from your family is one of the hardest things you can do. There will be guilt, there will be doubt, there will be nights when you wonder if you made the right choice. But let me tell you something. 5 years after I walked away, I am happier than I have ever been. I am successful, I am loved, I am free. And my parents? They're still stuck, still bitter, still blaming everyone but themselves. That's not my problem anymore, and it doesn't have to be yours either.
Today, I am 27 years old. I am a senior AI engineer at Nexus Dynamics. I have 17 patents. I have a team of 12 brilliant engineers who report to me. I have a corner office on the 19th floor with a view that still takes my breath away. I don't think about my parents much anymore. When I do, it's with a kind of distant sadness, like remembering a movie I watched a long time ago. The pain is still there, somewhere, but it's buried deep, covered by years of therapy and hard work and chosen family. I still have my diploma. It hangs on the wall of my office, right next to my patents and my awards. Every time I look at it, I remember that day. The graduation, the empty seats, the words that cut so deep. Pointless. They called my graduation pointless. They called my dreams pointless. They called me pointless. And now, I'm worth millions. I'm changing the world. I'm living a life they couldn't even imagine. The last time I spoke to my mother was 3 years ago. She called me on my birthday. I almost didn't answer, but I did. She said, "I just wanted to hear your voice." I said, "Okay." She said, "I'm proud of you." I said, "Thank you." She said, "I love you." I said nothing, because I didn't know if I believed her, and I didn't know if I loved her back. We haven't spoken since. Maybe one day I'll forgive her. Maybe one day I'll let her back into my life. But not today, and probably not tomorrow. Because here's the thing about betrayal. It leaves scars, and some scars take a lifetime to heal. But I'm healing every day, every hour, every minute. And that's enough. That's more than enough. My name is Elena. I'm 27 years old, and this is the story of how my own family tried to destroy me and how I built something they could never touch.